If I had to build my author website all over again from scratch without any writing experience, knowing what I know now, this is what I would do. Hi there, my name is Lauren. I'm a best-selling author as well as book strategist, and in today's video, I thought I would talk about exactly that. I have a feeling that this video is going to be a longer one, so if you don't mind watching a longer video, then I have a lot of great stuff in store for you. This is for those of you out there who are maybe kind of new to the author game. You're an aspiring author, you want to write a book, you want to just do the prep work that is needed in order to best position yourself for your next opportunity. So that's what this video is for, and the reason that it's important to have a website, just a website in general, especially like even if you don't have anything, is because it is your call to action for everything. It's where all of your efforts are going to pool. A website makes you look a lot more credible. So if you're positioning yourself for new opportunities, there's going to be a whole lot that we're going to be going over in this video. So stick around and learn a thing or two from your best friend, Lauren. I'm going to be breaking up this video into two different sections. One of them is going to be like approaching author websites and just stuff that you got to know. And this is coming from someone who was not only a book marketer for authorpreneurs, but also helped manage some of the pieces of different web projects that they had going on. Some of the authors that I've worked with in the past have had websites built for them while launching a book at the same time. So I'm going to be leveraging both of my expertise to kind of prep you on things to keep in mind, but also the technicalities and like the how-tos and stuff like that. And I really want to spend more of my time in the second half because I think that's what you're going to find most valuable. But we're just going to kick things off by me showing you what my old Squarespace website looked like, because I think that's a good place to start. So let's just do that. Alrighty, so this is my former author website. The reason that I'm not, the reason it looks like this is because I don't use it anymore. I'm on WordPress now, but this was my site on Squarespace for literal years, probably between 3 and 5 years. And this was all built on Squarespace. And just side note, none of this is sponsored by Squarespace. I'm too small of a channel to have sponsors. I have just genuinely had a good experience with them, and they did the job for me. And as I'm scrolling through, you can kind of get a bit of a feel for what my branding was like, which is something that we're going to be talking about in a second. But I don't want to spend too much extra time on this, but I did want to give you a bit of an idea of what my old one looked like. And this was a website that was constantly tweaked, that was edited, that was revised. The way that it looks now is not how it looked in the beginning. So once I kind of, found my footing as an author, doing the kind of stuff that I do now as a solopreneur, I kind of upgraded to a WordPress website, which is just a little bit more complex and tends to be a little bit better for SEO, for search engine optimization, which you will want if you're wanting to build a bit of a name for yourself. But just to kind of give you a feel for what Squarespace is capable of, this was my old website and what it looked like. So like I mentioned, you could probably get a bit of a feel for what my branding was like in my past video. And this really, branding at its core really has to do with three things. What do you want to say? How do you want to say it? Who do you want to say it to? This is all about your message. This is all about your theme, your values. This is just what it is that you're wanting to project through like different kinds of visual and interactive elements, which includes a website in this case. So I am going to give a minute or so to past Lauren in my old branding video to talk a little bit more about that in case you're curious, and then we're going to kick back into gear with present Lauren. So just over to you. Putting a brand to your name is going to help make you more A, professional, but also B, more identifiable, and C, people who resonate with the kind of look that you have going on. You're going to attract the people that you want to attract because you're saying, hey, this is who I am. This is how I'm choosing to represent myself. If you want to come, if you're curious, if you want to learn a little something, come on in. Let's have a conversation. Let's get a connection going. And then you're going to meet other people that maybe share those similar values because they resonate with what your brand image is. Now, if you're a business person, if you're an entrepreneur, a small business owner, it makes sense and it is appropriate to have separate websites for your business and for yourself. And if you're someone who really wants to get crafty with it, as you start to build your credibility and your brand recognition a little bit more, you could have 3 separate websites, one for your business, one for you as an author, entrepreneur, whatever, and then a third one even for your book. And I have a couple examples that I'm gonna bring up really, really quickly. So if we were gonna go to my new website now, Lauren Erickson Official, it's very similar branding, as you can tell. This is my current website. This is where everything rests right now. If you Google my name, this website should pop up, not the old Squarespace one. If it does, please tell me, because that's a problem. If you take a look at my website, it's going to look different versus, let's say, my book page. My book is a memoir about working in Yellowstone as a young adult and what that was like. And right off the bat, it's got a totally different feel. It's got different colors. The font is still pretty similar, but it's got very like earthy tones, because that is what matches the branding and the theme of this book about living and working in Yellowstone National Park. Because it's scrapbooky, it's old, it's journaly. You have these like old faded Polaroid pictures, and as you scroll down, it's just bits of my brand are incorporated, like some of these headshots and stuff. But you can tell that it's two different experiences, right? It's okay to have multiple websites with kind of different feels, right? Because each thing that you're offering might require a different kind of experience. I don't say that to overwhelm you, but at least for the sake of this video, we're keeping it really, really simple and just building a very basic author website. But I did want to show that as an example, just in case in the future or later down the road, you start having more thoughts about other things that you want to do, other books that you want to write or something like that. I wanted to show you that is something that is appropriate to do. Okay, in terms of technicalities and how-tos, this is where we're going to kind of be getting into like the meat of the hamburger, if you will. And I'm going to be literally designing a brand new Squarespace website with you and kind of going through how all of that works. So what I have with me is this handy dandy little web development organizer graphic thingy, and this is available to you in the description down below if you want to do this on your own, if you want to follow along with me. This is going to include the very, very basic elements that should be on every single website that you ever see. The essential elements of a website include, obviously, the home page, an about page, your contact page, and then in the case of aspiring authors or writers, any kind of projects or previous writing experience that you have. Now, if you're someone who doesn't have a lot of writing experience, that's okay. There are opportunities to prime yourself for new writing experiences. This could look like blogs. This could look like newsletters. You could offer to collaborate with others and be like a guest poster on other people's blogs. I've got a bunch of different ideas to help get the writing stuff started. But in the meantime, if you literally do not have anything, a blog, ideally in combination with a newsletter, is a really, really great place to start. Having something that's brand new is better than not having anything at all, in my opinion. So feel free to get out pen and paper, or if you want to use this organizer on your own, you're more than welcome to. But I'm going to be filling out this section as like Lauren from 5 years ago when I was trying to get my book published and off the ground. So knowing what I know now, I'm going to take a minute to fill this out. I'm going to pop back in when I have it all ready to go and presentable. All right, I'll check in with you in a hot second. This is what it looks like. It took a little bit of thinking for me, especially if I'm putting myself in the mindset of someone who really doesn't have any really writing experience. So I'm going to walk you kind of through what I put. So for the homepage, like one of the very first things that you're going to see at the top is ideally a headline, a sub-headline, and then a call to action. That's called the hero section. I don't know why. It's probably because it is one of the more prominent features. It's what, I don't know, they want you to pay attention to. But those three elements make up the hero section, and it's just to kind of act as an introduction for like, hey, this is who I am, this is my webpage, welcome. This is sort of like you're kind of setting the tone a little bit. So in my headline, I just called myself a writer and memoirist, which if you are not comfortable calling yourself a writer, then this is a really great exercise to help you become a little bit more comfortable with it. Because even if you haven't written anything before, or you are currently working on a work in progress, you are a writer because you have the creative spirit, you are a writer, you have all these stories and projects inside of you. I just said that I was a writer, which might imply that I write blogs, I write newsletters, I write for, I don't know, articles, but I'm also a memoirist. That's like where my book focus is. So I just put writer and memoirist. I couldn't really think of a headline. I'm sure that maybe when I start building out a template, something might come to mind, but just for the sake of simplicity, I just said I'm a writer and memoirist, and then my call to action, my CTA, is going to be learn more. Normally on a website, whatever page you're on should have a direction. And that's kind of what a call to action does. A call to action is like, once you read this, here's the next thing that you should do, or here's the thing that I want you to do. So you're kind of guiding them through your website a little bit. So if you don't know what to put, a nice, easy, classic standby is learn more. And I am intending, and I'm even gonna mark this here, I'm gonna have that link out to my about page, because I think that makes the most sense if anyone is wanting to learn a bit more about me and what I do and who I am. An about page would make a lot of sense. So I'm gonna add that right there. And then as people start scrolling down my website, there needs to be a little bit more information. So I just put a brief introduction about I'm an aspiring author with a focus on memoir, based out of the Chicago area. My aim is to spark curiosity, da 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 da. You can keep this generic. I received a little bit of help from ChatGPT with this, just to more act as a template or give me some ideas of what to write, but I would still put this in your words. Get ideas, get suggestions from ChatGPT, but please do not copy and paste whatever ChatGPT says in here, because chances are what you're writing and what ChatGPT wrote are not going to line up, and then it's like, it feels like very plagiarism-y, you know? It's like that's like how teachers can tell that you cheated on your essay, because it's like you copied and pasted something from Google and like mixed it in with your own words, and it doesn't really help your brand image much. So that's just a brief introduction that I put, because remember, I'm a brand new writer. I'm just now establishing myself, building a website. Testimonials, if you have them, great. They're not necessary though. It's not a make or break. If you are in an MFA program or something at a prestigious school and you have a well-known, reputable professor say something great about your writing, that would be an instance in which you could include that as a testimonial. If they left a comment on an essay of yours, if they emailed you with feedback or something, feel free to like swipe one, maybe no more than 2 sentences, depending on the length, putting it here with their name and maybe their title. Like, I wouldn't necessarily put anything unless it has a little more weight to it. Anything that has slightly more weight than yourself, I would put in this case, because we want to establish credibility. We want to establish social proof, and that's exactly what testimonials do. If you don't know anyone in the writing space, the creative space, if you don't have any connections, I didn't have any connections, I would just leave this blank. I would just leave it blank. It's not a make or break, like I said. So still on the homepage, scrolling down a little bit more, we had the hero section, we had an introduction. Now we're getting a little bit more into like a little bit of a taste of who you are, what you're like, what you do. And I'm just calling this like the mini about section. So again, this is going to be another headline. I just use Meet Lauren as a good old standby. I've used that since the very beginning when I made my first website. This is a brief bio, and if I'm someone who doesn't have a lot of writing experience, or I don't have a lot of work experience in a creative space, you can always use your experiential, you can use experiences to help you describe more of who you are, what you do. And that's kind of what I did here. I'm based out of Chicago, I'm a writer, and I happen to be in a creative line of work at the time as a book marketer, launching works by C-suite executives. So this is me more doing like a credibility plug, okay? And then I end with, I have solo traveled thousands of miles to a lot of different national parks, because this lines up really well with what my project is about, working in Yellowstone National Park, which there's going to be another tab to describe that. But this is just a little taste of who I am. I might have a headshot. I'm even going to show you a picture of this really quick. This headshot was not professionally done. I still use this headshot. I used a blank wall in my studio apartment in the city with a camera that I happened to have on hand, threw on a blazer and snapped a picture and hoped for the best. It happened to work out. But seriously, this is a very homemade snapshot. Get your phone camera. If you have like a physical camera, I happen to have a physical camera. Take a snapshot of yourself and use that. Like, all you need is just one decent headshot. If you have one decent headshot, even if you make it yourself, that's all you need. People just want to see that there's a face to the name, to the brand, okay? So this is the headshot that I'm going to use. It was very bare bones. I just took it in mid-afternoon lighting in a blazer. That's all I did. And again, my call to action is going to be to learn more. In this case, it's going to redirect again to my about page. Lastly, we have the footer, and the footer is the thing that is at the very, very bottom of every single website ever. In fact, I will show you. I told you this video was going to be long, didn't I? Gave you for a warning. So this down here, below this picture, below this little box right here, this is the footer. It's got my social links. If you have a logo, if you want to make a logo, I just put my name. And then you're going to have a privacy policy in terms of conditions. Don't let that freak you out. The only reason you have to have it is because every website needs to have it. It's just lets people know what information you're collecting from them if you are collecting any information. It's just letting you know like what the terms of what the terms of this website are. And there's a website that I used to generate mine called Termly. I really like them. I've used them a couple times. I really need to update this on my new website, but I don't know. I got one or two of these for free. It's just like a free generator. You fill in a couple blanks and it pops out a privacy policy or something. So just something to kind of keep in mind. But whatever page you're on, that's always going to rest in the footer. If I'm on my homepage, about page, if I have a media page, which you don't need to worry about this, it's just for an example, it's always going to be there. A footer it's going to be replicated across each page. So that's your homepage. Your homepage is going to be most likely the most robust because you're introducing yourself. You're giving people the most appropriate amount of content in a short amount of time as you can. You want to let people know who you are, what you do, what they can kind of expect, and most importantly, a call to action. Because again, a call to action, which is usually some kind of button, will redirect you to point B or wherever the next place is that you want them to go. You are guiding them. It's a dance. You want them to engage with different parts of your website, and that is the point of a call to action. Any kind of interaction is a good thing. Any kind of interaction is called a conversion. If they click a button, if they send you an email, if they buy something from you, if they check out an external link that goes out to your blog on Substack or something, that's a conversion, and that's good. You want engagement. So that's why you're going to see a few of these call to actions, or CTAs for short, sprinkled throughout. So if my call to action on my homepage is for them to visit my about page to learn more about me, that's the page that I'm just going to focus on next, at least in this video. It makes sense sequentially. So for the about page, you're just going to have a headline and description. That's all you need. It doesn't need to be that fancy. Actually, and even though I have a couple thick paragraphs here, I pulled this from a really old book proposal that I made. I'm just kind of repeating a little bit of what I had on the homepage. It's like, hey, I'm Lauren. This is what I do for work. Only include work experience if it's relevant to your creative side, okay? I happen to work as a book marketer. That leans very well into my identity as a writer. If I'm wanting to get agents and publishers to look at my stuff, to visit my website, this is going to be very attractive. Or even employment, if I want to get a job at a publisher or something. Any kind of prior relevant work experience, it's never going to hurt. If you don't have it, leave it out. This is what I do for my work, and I try to let them know that like I help with book marketing, I help with monetization, I do strategy, and like all these different elements that I would imagine would be attractive to someone in the writer industry. I talk about my education, if that's applicable to you. If not, don't worry about it. And then in this whole second paragraph, I talk about my experience, right? Do not discount your experiential credibility, especially if you're writing a book or wanting to write a book about whatever it is that is. If you don't have anything, you can always lean on your experiences. If you volunteered somewhere creative, if you went to a book festival of some kind, if you met authors, just anything that you can pull out of your back pocket, do it as long as it's relevant. And in this case, these travel experiences are relevant to the project, my work in progress that I'm working on. So this is where I'm saying, hey, this isn't just a one-off thing. Like, I am a seasoned traveler. I have experience traveling on my own to national parks. It goes beyond the book. I am an expert in my travels and in my own experiences, which leans well into writing a memoir. So this one is probably going to be the most interesting to a lot of you, especially if you are wanting to break more into the writer/author space. This is where you want to talk about what your work in progress is, or if you have multiple projects that you're working on. At the time, I was working on my memoir called The Finer Things Club, about working and living in Yellowstone National Park as a young adult. So what I did was I created like another little mini hero section that was like, this is my project, a bit of a description of what it was about. In fact, I should probably do that here. I'll just say this, a coming of age. I've written this sentence so many times. So I have a title, a subtitle, at least for this little hero section, to feature my work in progress. And then what I did on my old website is I would put other little mini features, or like blogs or mini writings that I did. So if I have a blog, this is something that I could put here. If you have a newsletter, this could be a call to action. Other ways to get more writing experience without writing a book include both of those things. as well as magazine articles, any contributions that you make, or guest posts that you make on other websites or blogs. I know that I went to my Barnes & Noble one time a few years ago, and I found a little indie magazine, and I saw that they were taking submissions on their website. So what I did, I'm still very proud of this, I pitched a little pocket-sized version of my book to the magazine to see what the market response to that idea would be, to see if it was an idea that was worth pursuing as a book. And they accepted the idea, and I was able to talk about it a little bit. So not only was it to like let people know, hey, this is something that, I'm going to be writing a book about, but also it tells me that people responded well to the idea and they wanted to have it included in their magazine. So you can do that. And then if you're super knowledgeable in a very particular area, or if you have a certain kind of expertise, feel free to sign up with websites like HARO or Quoted. And basically, this helps position you as a source for journalists and reporters who are looking for commentary on people in very particular spaces, in particular niches. I'm very new to both of these. I've tried HARO, but I happen to like Quoted's interface a little bit better. You'll basically get these little email pings that are like, hey, looking for someone who's knowledgeable about this thing. And if you are, well, then you get writing experience and credibility all rolled into one. So if you want more kind of easier plugs to get more writing experience, those are just a few extra ways that you can do it. Any school newspapers that you've done, you're just doing a lot of creative thinking here. And then lastly, you want to have a call to action. Actually, now that I think about it, there wasn't a call to action on the About page. So what I'm going to do is add that in because that's important. So it goes from homepage to About page to projects or other, if there's other bits of writing that you've done in the past. My call to action here is going to be contact Lauren. So they know who I am, they know what I'm working on. If they want to collaborate, if they want to get more information, if an agent or someone wants to request part of my manuscript, whatever, then this will lead them to my contact page. And contact pages are always going to be pretty self-explanatory. You're going to have a description, let's connect, get in touch with Lauren, etc. Include any social links if people want to follow you online. And then oftentimes you'll have a contact box or something link out to your email. So like if my website is laurenericksonwrites.com, someone sent me a message using the contact box on my contact page, that would get forwarded over to whatever my email address is. This is sort of like, this is just a way to get everything organized so that you know what specifically to include on your website. Do you have to do this? No, but it makes things a little bit easier if you don't mind front-loading the work on yourself a little bit. So if you want to get a little bit clearer on what you need or maybe what you don't need, feel free to use this outline. It's free. It's in the description. And then we'll use that to inform the stuff that goes on your website and in the kind of format that it'll be. So let's rewind a little bit. I got to catch my breath too. Anyway, we talked about website basics. We briefly chatted a little bit about branding. We talked about what to prepare to go on your website. This is the part where we take all of that, roll it up together, and literally start executing it into a Squarespace template. And that's the great thing about Squarespace. You don't have to worry about coding. You don't have to worry about how things are going to be placed on a page. There's like so many different templates. I feel like this is a sponsorship, but I promise you it's not. And you just pick out what kind of template you like and start putting stuff on there. Start kind of plugging things in, linking things out. In my opinion, this is kind of where the fun starts. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing. Okay, so I am on Squarespace's website, just very, very, very beginning, squarespace.com. I'm going to go on ahead and click Get Started. Okay, so I'm just going to browse around here and pick the one that I think A, has the best functionality for me, and B, would be the most representative of the kind of work that I'm wanting to promote, which is writing. This one, I like this one, but it looks a little bit more product-y or like salesy a little bit, because here these boxes are like meant to feature something. I don't really want people to leave the page right when they get here. I'd rather there be a hero and then a bit of an opportunity to like have an introduction and say a little bit about who I am. So let me keep scrolling. This one wouldn't be bad. I'll click on this one. And don't worry about the colors. You can always change the colors. That's like the last thing you should worry about. I'm looking at how does it look? What is the structure like? Because if the structure's there, you don't have to worry about that. You can change color and font all day long. There's tons of picture opportunities. I don't have, if I'm brand new, I might not have a ton of pictures. So what I could do is keep this hero section. It's got the title, the subtitle, the call to action, which is what we want. That is exactly what we had in this like organizer that we had, headline, sub headline, and call to action. That matches up really, really well here. Picture, I could probably find a stock photo or something. I could probably get rid of background and then center this and then make this my introduction. I could keep or get rid of that picture. I don't know, put a quote in here or something, I don't know. And then have this be my next call to action. This is where I could put my little mini bio, my little mini author bio. Another call to action, and then footer at the end. I think I'm going to go with this one. I mean, I think it just kind of matches up really well with the kind of structure that I outlined in my organizer on this page. I'm not going to do a bright yellow because if you want people to read your stuff, that's just going to be a little bit harsh in my opinion. I kind of like these muted colors here. I feel like this kind of matches me. Like I'm kind of like a more, generally, when I'm not on video, I'm a more quieter, reserved kind of person, but I like these kind of grounding colors. This is just how I'm interpreting these color selections. It's just meant to be more of an idea, not something super literal. I think I'm going to go with this one. For whatever reason, I just like this one a little bit better. I feel like it kind of represents me. So I'm going to click start with this design. I haven't been on Squarespace in a while, but if I recall correctly, you can edit your website as long as you want, and then when you're ready to execute it or have it go live, then you would need to opt into a subscription. What would you like to call your site? I'm just going to call it my name. Keep it really simple. I'm the author, I'm the person. And if you could probably see in the background there too, where it's a little bit blurry here, that's going to be like my I don't know, almost like where a logo or something would be. So I am going to keep my name there. So great. I have this template that I can work with now, and if I have like a dual monitor setup, I'm going to put my notes on my like secondary screen is like how I think of it, and then translate what I have in this organizer to this new website. This is kind of the fun part. If you sort of, like I said, front load it and you figure all this out ahead of time, it'll be a lot quicker, a lot easier, and a lot more efficient to just plug everything in and then play around with the colors and the branding and the font and stuff later. Now that I have this, I'm going to be transferring all of the copy from my organizer or my outline over to here. So I'm going to click on edit up here in the top left corner, get everything down first, and then like I said, then we can worry about all the other stuff. So I believe my headline was writer and memoirist. And this is one of the things that you're going to do at the very, very end. Once you get everything down, then before you launch it, you're going to check everything for functionality. You're going to make sure it looks good on mobile viewing if someone was to see your website on your phone. Right now, we're just getting the essentials down. So looking back at my template, I did the hero section. I'm going to be tweaking this formatting a little bit later. I did my little introduction line section. This could be bigger, I'm aware, but at least if I'm brand new and I don't have much to go off of, this is what I'm going to have. I scroll down, I have my little mini bio section. That's going to have my call to action that will eventually go out to my homepage. And just to help differentiate from this button maybe, I might change this to say like Meet Lauren or something. They're going to link out to the same place. Either way, this button and this button are both going to go out to my to my about page. But at least to just kind of vary it on the eyes a little bit, I'm going to switch that up. And then it looks like the only other thing that I have to include on the homepage is the footer. So I'm going to get rid of this because I don't think it's necessary. There's already a picture right above it. This box here with the button and this box here with the button look a little too similar and a little too close together. So I'm going to get rid of this whole section. And now all I have is the footer. So I'm going to go ahead and edit that. All right. So we've got all my social links down here, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. If you only have one or two, it's still fine to leave it down here. And then eventually, you'll probably want to put in your privacy policy in terms of use down here. You could probably put it in right underneath that Squarespace logo right here. You could just hyperlink that sucker right in. So, okay, that's my footer. Everything else looks good. This is the home page. Again, we're not getting too granular with how it looks. We're just getting everything in place. So I'm all done with the home page, at least for now, in terms of content. I'm going to click on save and hop over to the about page. This should be a little bit quicker. And in terms of spacing, I think it looks pretty good. It's okay if it's simple. I'm a believer that less is more. So I'm going to click save, head out of that. And next, we are going to, you know what, just for the sake of ease, I'm going to skip ahead to a contact page and then come back and make the projects/other page, just because that's going to be a little bit more time intensive, whereas the contact page is going to be a bit more straightforward. So I'm going to click on this little addition here. So now I'm going to backtrack and go back to my projects page and get that going, because that's going to probably require a little more finagling. I'm going to see if any of these pre-existing pages have a structure that I can already work with. Otherwise, we'll see if we can maybe find another. No, okay, this doesn't have what I need. What I want is I want to have another hero section, kind of like I did on the homepage, to show what the name or just more information about what my work in progress is. Because if that's like the main project that I'm working on, I would want it to be like the main focus. And then any other supplemental writing things that I do over time, I can add in towards the bottom. I believe that's what I did on my old Squarespace website. So if I'm sticking with that theme, then neither of these pages would best fit that type of structure that I have in mind. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of these and pick out a brand new page. Blog. Okay, if you wanted to start a blog, which I would highly recommend anyway, you would be able to write it and post it directly within Squarespace. I did this for a long time, probably a good year or two. So whatever format you would want your blog posts to show up, this is what you're picking. I think I did this one, if I recall correctly, but I think just to get more on the page, I'm going to click on this one. It's purely just personal preference. Okay, the final page. We are going to create a project/other, go through the rest of the motions, and then you will have seen secondhand or firsthand how to make a website. So this makes a lot of sense, okay? If you have one main project that you're working on or a work in progress or something, I think this is really kind of all you need, unless there is more helpful information that you would want to include. But if you're in the early stages of writing a book, or if you are in the middle of editing a book, if you just are not prepping for publication yet or seeking representation or anything, then I think this is a pretty good starting point. So now that I have everything in place on this website, I have transferred everything from my little website organizer document thing. I've translated everything from that over to the website. Really from here, you can kind of tweak this as much as you want now that the content and the structure is in place. So I'm going to go ahead and take a break, and then I'm going to bring you back in. I'm going to bring you back in once I have everything the way that I want it. And after that, I'm really going to have to take a break because this has been a lot of work. I now present to you my brand new author writer website that I created on Squarespace. This is the finished product. I did a little bit of tweaking, a little bit of poking and prodding at different elements of it. I took this header and sort of magnified it a little bit. I also made it a dark gray because I felt like some of the black text, like down here, was a little bit harsh against some of the muted colors. That's just more of a more of a personal taste kind of thing. So I was kind of playing around with the gray and seeing what that looked like. Whatever stylistic choices you make, you want it to be as consistent as possible throughout your website. I know that with templated websites like Squarespace, it's not always an option. Like for my little logo name thingy up here, I'm not able to make that not black, at least not that I'm aware of at the moment. But anyway, I added a little subtitle that wasn't originally in my template. It would have looked weird, I think, if I didn't have it. I chose pictures that kind of went along with my stories theme, but also matched some of the branding of this website. So you'll see some similar colors and tones that are shared with this picture and the rest of my website. This is my little introductory text. It could be longer, but that's what I have. Little tiny little blurb about me. If you wanted to add a little bit more, you could. And these buttons link out to other pages. As you start finalizing your website, you are going to want to run through everything one last time, testing all of the buttons, testing all of the links, the submission forms, making sure that everything works and that it's functional, because the last thing you want to have happen is launch a website and then have everyone say that there's a bunch of problems with it about, oh, I've been trying to email you, but it's not letting me, or, oh, when I try to click to learn more, it goes to a dead link or something. You definitely don't want to have that happen. Anyway, this is just kind of meant to be a bit of an overview for what well, I shouldn't say overview. It's a little bit more in depth than that, about what it looks like to make an author website from scratch. Knowing what I know now, this is what I would do. This is how I would present it. And as I'm kind of like reflecting and stuff on this, it really isn't too different from what my first website was. I mean, a lot of the elements are very, very similar. The look is a little bit different. And the great thing about starting something like this when you're very, very new to it is that you can change things if you want, and it's all going to be okay. Like, no one is going to be watching your every move, waiting to see, oh, she wasn't consistent with her website last month, or, oh, they, whatever. As you start to get a little bit more writing experience under your belt, if you decide to submit a book or like a magazine article idea and you get it accepted, you can feature that here down below if you want to. If you do a guest post on someone's blog, you can add that here. This is meant to be buildable. It's not going to have everything in it at the same time, especially if you're starting out. But if you're new, this is a really, really great starting point. And there are a lot of really good things to think about. So switching back up to my other camera. Okay, I need a minute. That was a lot more work than I was anticipating, but I hope you got something out of this video. If there was a bit of a light change, I'm sorry. I spent a lot of time making this video and it's rainy outside, so sorry if the lighting is inconsistent, but I hope you got something out of this video. I tried to offer as much specificity and insight and value as much as I could in a video. So I hope you got something out of it. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing. I like making videos for you, and I like getting you answers to questions that you have and providing a lot of resources and value. Don't forget too that there's a copy of that website organizer thingy in the description if you want it. But thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.